Let's join together, shall we? I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. Yes, the love of God is here. So it is, so it is, we let it be.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. I'm David Alexander. My pronouns are he and his. I'm the spiritual director here. I want to welcome you into this space and welcome all of our friends watching online on Facebook and YouTube today or sometime in the near future. Whenever you come across this broadcast, we're grateful that you're tuning in to this beautiful place and space. It is May. It's May 4th. May the 4th be with you. And also with you. Come on, now you gotta. All right, and it's a new theme. We follow the Science of Mind magazine, and which is one of the major publications of our organization that we're a part of, Centers for Spiritual Living. Forgot to bring one up here with me, but you'll see on the cover for May, it says, Raise Your Voice. So that's the theme for the magazine, all the articles and focuses in there for the month, and also for us here on Sunday afternoons. And so we'll be looking at that in just a moment. We'll share a new affirmation for the month in just a moment. If you're new with us or visiting us for the first time, we're grateful that you're here today. Please just let yourself be known at the end of the service in the lobby, and we'll get you an information card and copy of one of those Science of Mind magazines and some other information, let you know about our center and our organization. We're grateful that you're here. You can always visit our website as well. If you're tuning in for the first time, you want to know more about us, go to SLCA.com and click on that I'm New Here button right there on the front page, and you'll find all kinds of information about our history and how long we've been around, what we teach, and all that kind of good stuff. All right, so the theme for Raise Your Voice, the theme for May, the affirmation is this. I'm going to read it one time, and then I'll walk us through it a second time, and then we'll do it all together with a third time in one voice. It says, I honor the power of my voice as an expression of the divine within me. I speak my truth with clarity, courage, and compassion. My words create, heal, and uplift, bringing liberation to myself and others. So let's take a deep breath. I'll give you one line, we'll say it, and then we'll repeat it together. I honor the power of my voice as an expression of the divine within me. I speak my truth with clarity, courage, and compassion. My words create, heal, and uplift, bringing liberation to myself and others. Take in a deep breath. And now, third time, we just let it sink into our entire being, setting the tone for this month, for this service, and for the walk with Spirit that we are inviting into through this affirmation. Together with one voice, let us affirm. I honor the power of my voice as an expression of the divine within me. I speak my truth with clarity, courage, and compassion. My words create, heal, and uplift, bringing liberation to myself and others. And so it is, and so we are. Give yourselves a hand for being here today, and let's welcome Mallory Lapete with our announcements. All right.
Thank you, David. Hello, all my New Thought Jedi. Yes. I am Mallory Lapete. My pronouns are she and her, and I gladly serve on the creative arts team here at the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. If this is your first time here, welcome. We are so happy that you chose to spend your time with us. Please make yourself known in the online chat or in person so a member of our welcome team can greet you. We have so many great opportunities to what? Connect, grow, serve, and give at SLCA. For more information about today's announcements and other opportunities, scan the QR code found on your monitor. Let's get to it. Visioning. Visioning is vital to the sustainability of SLCA. Join SLCA practitioner Nana next Sunday during our 5 o'clock hour as she leads our community in a vision of SLCA. This will take place every second Sunday, and we'd love for you to join in. Reverend Jean invites you to join her every second Sunday during the 5 o'clock hour after service and discover the basic ideas of the science of mind. This is a perfect refresher class for members and is especially designed to help newcomers understand the basic principles of the science of mind and spirit philosophy. You know, I met someone a week ago, and she said, "What religion do you practice?" And I told her New Thought, and she said, "What?" She had never, ever, and she was a fully grown adult woman, never heard of it before. And so I enlightened her just a little bit, yeah. And I was so proud. I love you guys. You support this. Yeah, let me finish this announcement. Okay, basic principles of the science of mind, spirit philosophy. You'll learn how to use these principles to enhance your personal well-being and live in a more freeing and fulfilled life. The gathering is back. After a long break, Reverend Susan Zoller is thrilled to join with you and other SLCA members as we share the wisdom of Ernest Holmes for the 365 Science of Mind Daily Affirmation Readings. This book gives us a whole year of wisdom and spiritual jewels for each day of the year. In the gathering, we get to discuss how the wisdom applies to our daily lives and how it can help us grow spiritually. Register today, if you don't mind, and connect with Reverend Susan Zoller. She's awesome. On Zoom, Wednesday, May the 14th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Last, we're so excited to announce that we'll be working with the Toco Hills Community Alliance to do our first mobile food pantry along with UCA right here on campus. This pantry will take place on Friday, May 23rd. Volunteers will set up the mobile food pantry and bag the products. And then from 10 to 12, we'll serve the community. With cleanup, we should be done by 12:30. There's your calendar. Shifts are from 8:30 to 12:30. Speak with a member of our staff to let us know your intent to join us. I hope you will. Thanks so much for joining us today. We look forward to visiting with you after the service in the social hall for fellowship and food. Please be sure and try to introduce yourself to a person that you haven't met before. I'll do the same. Love you guys. Thank you.
With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. As I open and allow, I know right here and now, I create a world where wonders never cease. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. Through me.
Let us pray together. In this very room, in this very moment, in your very seat, in our very heart, we find the presence of the divine. I call it God. It is the infinite intelligence that is everywhere, all the time, in and through all that it has created. It is you. It is your very essence. It is me. It is each and every other individual. And it does not matter whether we know the truth of our identity or not. That does not change the truth. This power, this love, this grace, this strength, all of this is God and so much more. And as we connect with it in our consciousness, as we become it in our expression of our life, we extend it in and through all of this world. And so in this very moment, we make that connection. With our very breath, we draw it in. As we exhale, we extend it out. And that rhythm, that interplay of coming and going, giving and taking, that is what life is. And we do it with supreme awareness. We do it with supreme generosity. We do it with supreme surrender. We are surrendered into who we are. And as this all happens, we are affirming whatever it is that we need, whatever it is that we desire. And that connectivity means that there cannot ever be any unfulfilled needs or desires. They're all met. And because this is so, we just say, thank you, God. Thank you for responding to us as we respond to it with a heart filled with generous gratitude. I release these words, knowing that there is a law. There is the universal law of mind that receives the direct impress of what has been spoken and felt and affirmed, and it cannot return unto me void. So let us just release the prayer together as we say, and so it is.
The love of God through me. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. As I open and allow, I know right here and now, I create a world where wonders never cease. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. Through me. So it is. Thank you, Baji.
Lighting the flames of faith. A call to service. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence which we call Spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We recognize the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We recognize the candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous people, the way of the primal spirituality. We recognize the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We recognize the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We recognize the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We recognize the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We recognize the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We recognize the candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We recognize the candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. As we recognize the healing candle, please put silently in the light the name of anyone you wish to experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
Thank you, Baji, for that beautiful prayer. It's our time for our tithes and offerings. This is a portion of our service in which we participate in and recognize the circulation that is already occurring through automatic tithes and offerings that are scheduled by the 100+ people who contribute to this community on a monthly basis. And we also give opportunity for others to join in that flow today. Participating in that is a recognition that there is a a power greater than you are that's flowing through you, and you are a vehicle through which it moves. And so as you bless others, you bless yourself. As you bless this center, you bless the community that we serve and the world that we are seeking to create through our vision. So we're so grateful for all the ways in which you participate in that. We have envelopes for cash and check with our ushers, and we also have all the digital ways. And of course, we're also speaking to our online community. If you're seeing this broadcast or hearing this broadcast, we want you to know that you are included. We have people giving and contributing to SLCA all across the country, and this moment includes you too. So please scan that QR code, visit our website, or simply, the easiest way, take out your phone and text any dollar amount to 404-800-9467, and the system will automatically prompt you with what to do on the other end of that. Really easy, and we're grateful for all of the gifts that we receive today in this service and this month and beyond. So thank you very much. Let's hold and recognize, and I have my pledge card here for my automatic giving that comes out. And whatever form it takes today, your gift, even if it's an intention to participate in this circulation in the future, if it's an intention to increase your gift, or it's an intention to bless others throughout your day or week, whatever it is, hold that gift as we bless it together with these words. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. Thank you.
All right, as we bring these gifts forward to bless them, we extend our hearts and our hands to simply acknowledge that these are the representation of hearts and homes and minds and consciousness of individuals in this room, online, and around the country that are connected to this ministry, that are blessed by the work that it is doing, that seek to bless it through their conscious intention, and by doing so are blessing the world. I give thanks for all of these gifts and all that they represent, for the support that they provide, the inspiration that they make possible, and the space and the doors that they open. I know that they return to us as the beloved experience that we have today and in the future. For this and so much more, I'm truly grateful and thankful. And so it is.
So it is. So it is. When we show up, life shows up. When we begin, love opens up. This is the time to say out loud what's next for you, for us, for the world. When we show up to bless and serve, when we begin, evolve and relax, this is the time to say out loud what's next for you, for us, for the world. You're free to explore all the beauty in store. You're free to explore all the beauty in store. We're not only the drop in the ocean, but also the ocean in the drop. We're not only the drop in the ocean, but also the ocean in the drop. When we show up, intentionality, when we begin, embrace uncertainty, this is the time to say out loud what's next for you, for us, for the world. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you, Penelope. Let's give her some more love.
Thank you.
Well, once again, it is May the 4th, and we have this beautiful, beautiful theme, raising our voice, raising your voice. Right on time, isn't it? Kind of time to raise our voice a little bit. We're going to explore this month how to live in that authentic expression of raising our voice, using our voice for self-advocacy and for the spiritual transformation that we seek in the world. I want to focus today as we kick this off on kind of the art of self-advocacy in using our voice today. I don't know if you noticed, but there's something stirring in the soul of humanity right now, right? It's like, I won't even say it's bubbling under the surface because it's kind of bursting out all over the place. We see it, really bursting out. And before I get too far on that, I do want to talk about May the 4th a little bit. I said it earlier, May the 4th be with you. And you say, and also with you. That's the appropriate response. There's a great famous photo of George Lucas and his son standing in front of their portion of their home library. There's a bookshelf next to them over his shoulder. It appeared in the New York Times many, many years ago. And very clearly you can make out some of the books. And then, of course, I forgot the name, Campbell, Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell's work is on there, a few other things, and very, very clearly you can see a copy of The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. And now, George Lucas has said many times in various interviews that the Force was this idea that he wanted to capture that was about kind of the universal thread through all religions, that he wasn't choosing any one particular religion or expression, but something that anyone would find commonality with. So Taoism and Buddhism and Christianity and so on and so forth. And so he studied a lot of that. So it would not be unusual to find that on his bookshelves. And in particular, The Science of Mind, which, of course, Ernest Holmes really presented the world a distillation of so much of that wisdom and wrote it. He wasn't the first to do it, obviously, but wrote it in at that time, a modern tongue. And so George Lucas was very intrigued by that. And there is a story of one of our ministers who at one point actually had happenstance to run into George Lucas in the airport. And he mentioned this. It was after the article and the photo came out in the New York Times. And he said, hey, I saw that picture in the New York Times, and I noticed that there was a copy of The Science of Mind text on the bookshelf behind you, and that's actually my faith. That's what I teach. And George Lucas was very happy to hear that, and he said, "Oh, that's wonderful." He says, I love Ernest Holmes. He says, "Where do you think the idea of the Force came from?" So when we say, "May the Force be with you," we're talking about this very idea, right? Ernest Holmes says there's a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. There's a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. That is, Ernest Holmes used to start every radio broadcast of his radio show back in the 40s and 50s with that line, that opening line. And that is the essence of the Force, right? This idea that it's greater than we are, it's all around us, it's something that all paths and traditions find commonality with or some wisdom in. And we can learn how to use it. We can learn how to harness that through our thoughts and our attitudes and our mind and our affirmations and our prayers and everything else. And I don't know of a message that's more needed in the world right now than this idea of that there's a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and that we can use it. It seems to me that there is that, again, stirring in the human soul right now, that people are, as I said, not under the surface, no longer whispering their needs, but they are speaking out and declaring their needs, right? There's a bursting out. We see it in all over the world, in the streets of Iran, and women are cutting their hair in protest of oppressive laws. We see farmers in India organize one of the largest protests in human history. We see people rising all across the United States, in city after city, and red states and blue states and all over the place, and descending on capitals and peacefully protesting. When we say descending on capitals, right? On Capitol grounds and buildings. We see the raising of voices against corporations. We see all of these things happening, the town halls filling up. We see in the halls of power people like Reverend Dr. William Barber, lifting prayers for the poor, even when it leads to his arrest, as he was arrested last Monday in the rotunda in Washington, D.C., praying for the oppressed among us and against the oppressive nature of what he calls an immoral budget that is seeking to be passed. Some of you may remember back in March, I was with William Barber and with that same group of people that were gathered there at the rotunda, and there was a larger group of us, and we went in to do the same thing, to deliver a letter to all of our senators and congresspeople, to pray in the rotunda silently if necessary. We intended on circling up and praying out loud, and then they brought us all through security, gave us the little badges, the little stickers that they give you if you've ever been as a tourist. There's a whole procedure that you got to wait in line and go through the metal detectors, and you have to have a sponsor with you to guide you, somebody from a politician's office, and that person's sort of responsible for your tour and your time in, and they give you a sticker, and we had all of that arranged. And then we got there and they said, "Well, what exactly is the nature of your visit?" We said, "Well, we're delivering these letters that express our concern about," which is a very democratic thing to do. It happens all of the time. You can go to your office of your representative and deliver a letter, and they will receive you and receive it. And so we said, we're doing that, and we plan. There's clergy from all over the country, all different faith traditions represented, and we plan on praying in the rotunda. Well, as soon as we said that, a whole bunch of other people showed up, some in suits, some in police uniform, and they huddled in a little corner, and then we had our lawyers, civil rights lawyers that were part of William Barber's group, and they huddled with them, and then they would kind of split apart and then come back together and split apart, come back. The rest of us were just standing in line, just kind of waiting. And then they finally came and they tell us, they said, "Well, you can't pray out loud." Okay, well, we won't pray out loud. We'll pray silently. We'll pray quietly. You can't cause a disturbance. That was what they said. We will consider anything that is a disturbance an act of protest, and that is not allowed in the building. So he said, "Well, we'll do it quietly. There won't be any disturbance." Then they huddled and they talked about it, and then they came back and they said, no, that would also be considered a disturbance, and that will not be allowed. So, okay, well, we'll pray real quietly, as in silently in our head, while we're walking around like tourists. But we're just praying. We can do that. I mean, some of the Pentecostals with us would have had a hard time, but we were going to hold their hand and get them through it, right? And they finally decided, no, you can't even do that. And so we left. About 150 of us. And William Barber said, we'll be back. And he was back last Monday with another group, and he's putting out the call to clergy to come again. They'll be there tomorrow, the first Monday of the month, and every first Monday of the month from now until the foreseeable future, doing it again and again and again. And so if I have resource and capacity, I will go again, not tomorrow, but in a future call, as he intends for that movement to grow, as we have seen across the country, people growing and growing in larger and larger audiences to raise their voices. And what was the crime? Praying out loud in a space that they say belongs to the people, but which often ignores their cries. Last Monday, he wasn't shouting, he wasn't resisting, he was praying with a voice full of compassion and a heart full of justice. And still, they sent away the cameras and they arrested him. More to say about that and why. But let's talk today about how we can use this force for good in the universe that is greater than we are. Because here's the deeper truth. When we raise our voice from a divine center, from a grounded place, from a connected place, we're not so much resisting as we are revealing. I want you to get that. It's about not resisting something, but revealing something. You're revealing your care or your compassion. You're revealing the truth that lives inside of you. You're revealing the experience that you want to have. Oftentimes it looks maybe antagonistic or like resistance. If you've ever been in a situation where somebody is doing something to you, or in a circumstance, or you see it with children, where a child perhaps is in a situation where they feel overpowered by adults, then you will see them in resistance, but at some point there comes a revealing, a truth-telling that they begin to do. And as a cry out, right? As less about, hey, I don't like this or that, but rather, this is what I want. And I'm trying to get some attention here because something needs to happen. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you've had to do that, where you've had to raise your voice to reveal something to the greater community around you. Revealing is sacred. Revealing is about releasing or showing the unshakable dignity within yourself and within others. This is the essence of self-advocacy. It's not ego. It's not arrogance. It's actually remembrance. And it's remembering who you are. In the face of something that would deny who you are, remember who you are and say it, right, to the world around you. It's remembering who you are and refusing to shrink. We see examples of this over and over and over again throughout religious stories and sacred stories of various traditions. We can think in Judaism in what Christians would call the Old Testament, but we might, in a Jewish context, call the Torah, or the first books of the Bible. We consider when God calls Moses to be his advocate, his voice, his spokesperson, his leader for people who are oppressed. And Moses' response is, I stutter. Don't pick me. My brother's a much better speaker. His name is Aaron. Go bug him, right? And maybe some of you can relate to that moment. Like you feel something calling on your life, something pulling you out, something being requested of you, and you're like, no, I got somebody better for you, right? Choose this person or that person, not me. And God's response is, Moses says, "Oh Lord, I am not eloquent. I am slow of speech and tongue. I stutter." He says, "I'm of two tongues." And Moses didn't feel qualified. He didn't believe in his own voice. But God saw something different and saw that divine potential within him. And God said to him, I will be your mouth and teach you what to say. First, he kind of admonishes him. He says, well, who gave you your tongue? Who gave you your mouth? I did. So if I've called you, don't you think I know what I'm doing? That's the David Alexander translation of the scripture. Or we have Esther. We have the woman in the shadows of a patriarchy empire, elevated to queen, but it remains silent at first until her people were in danger. And then her uncle Mordecai says the words that echo in our soul, perhaps in this moment. Perhaps you were born for such a time as this. And maybe some of us have felt that stirring in our soul, that we have been born for such a time as this. Self-advocacy is not just about ourselves. Sometimes it's what our voice can do for others. It's what it can unlock in the universe around us. It's what our yes to truth can liberate in the presence of and in the context of community. And so how do we do this in a New Thought context? It begins with what Ernest Holmes taught us in that same Science of Mind text. The question for today is, how can my voice be a force for good in the world, given all that's going on? And we might turn to Ernest Holmes again, to that same Science of Mind text, and hear him say, life is a mirror and reflects back to us what the thinker thinks into it. Life is a mirror and reflects back to us what the thinker thinks into it. And if that's true, and if that's a new thought for you, then what I invite you to do always when we're in classes is to simply hold it as true for a moment. Maybe there's a part of you that's questioning it and going, oh, that's interesting. Well, just hold it as a possibility, that life as a mirror reflects back to you what you think into it. And let's put that in the context of what we're speaking of today. That your reality bends to your self-perception to a certain degree. And so if we've been conditioned to believe that we're small or unworthy, or perhaps maybe that in certain contexts we're too much, or that we're anything of that nature, right? That we're unconsciously recreating that limitation in our relationships, in our workplaces, maybe even in spiritual places, in community. But when we change and shift the belief, when we give ourselves permission to hold a different idea about who we are, the idea that Ernest Holmes teaches us over and over again, that we are inherently worthy, that we are inherently lovable, that we are inherently capable, that we are inherently possess all that we need to rise up into our greatest yet to be, that capacity is within us and has always been within us, then we shift everything, because then the world starts to reflect that mirror back to us. Suddenly, possibilities begin to occur. I remember when I was in high school and I was participating in New Mexico in a big conference. It was the largest youth empowerment leadership conference in the country that was done through the state. We had about 900 teens from all over the state of New Mexico come together, and there was a big leadership structure within that organization that was all about youth-adult partnerships and relationships and empowerment. And it was run by a National Youth Council that met with the governor's office and helped work on public policy. It was a very innovative program, been around for a long time before I'd gotten there. And I was a freshman, and I was kind of observing all of this, and I was really taken by it, but I was also very shy. I was an introvert, didn't like public speaking. Ha, ha, ha. You see, God had the last laugh, right? And I was sitting there, and they were talking about the agenda of the week, and they said, so if you're considering running for office, in this structure, then, you need to come forward by this particular time and put your name down and do this and do that. And I said, well, that's nice. I'm just kind of checking it all out and just seeing who's who and what's what, and this is my first time, and I don't know anything from anybody. And so I was just sitting there, and then I was sitting at lunch, and some people from my school came to me, and they said, we think you should run. And I said, what about my brother Aaron? I didn't have a brother named Aaron, but it was that same reaction that Moses, was speaking to. I was like, wait a second, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you see in me, but I'm not that. I'm not a leader. I'm not a public speaker. And they said, yeah, we think maybe you are. You just don't know it yet. Literally, that's what one of the kids said to me. He says, yeah, I think you are. You just don't know it yet. And I sat with that. was like, oh, that's interesting. And it was sort of confirmed through various people and things. And of course, I was in Science of Mind. I was studying these things. I had my Science of Mind, magazine with me. I had my affirmation cards. I had, I would go on Sundays to Sunday school. I would learn these things. And so I was sitting trying to apply some of these teachings. And I kind of came across this same idea. I was like, well, the world is reflecting back to me something that I'm not sure where it's coming from. But what if they're right and I'm wrong? What if there's a possibility that I'm not seeing, that the world is trying to get me to see? And what if I could just hold as possible that a different reality were true? And if I did that, then I would really have to lean on the power of the universe that's greater than I am to come forward, because it's not going to come from me. It's not coming from my ego. It's not coming from my desire. It's not coming from anything else. But if there's something there, then maybe I could lean on that. And maybe we should try it out. And I tried it out. And I was elected to that particular position, which led me to other positions, which, long story short, it basically led me right here in front of you today, right? For such a time as this, in each stage of the way. When we learn that self-advocacy is about tapping into that infinite potential within us, then we understand the power of thought that we have. Do I think of myself in positive terms? Do I think of myself in uplifting ways? What am I habitually living with as the activity of my thought? Because my world will reflect that back to me. That's the bottom line, the sort of 101 entrance into Science of Mind teaching. What am I thinking about myself? Because whatever I'm thinking about me, I'm then thinking about the rest of the world and the people around me, right? Everybody with me so far? And so we learn to examine our beliefs, and then we learn to honor the divine within us. Ernest Holmes says, the power of God is within you. It's already within you. This is the divine authority. The divine authority is not, again, your ego. It's not your desires. It's not your anything. It's not anything, a title, position, or anything that comes from the outside world. The authority is the God within you. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for the degree. You don't have to wait for the anything. I remember then leaving that conference, going to a camp for the church, for the region, and went into this deep spiritual experience and came out of that and kind of accepted this sort of mantle, this thing that I felt Spirit was pulling on me to accept. I went home from that camp. I'm summarizing a lot of things here for you. Went home from that camp. I created business cards. Remember those? Remember you had to buy like a box of 500 of them, or get a deal if you did 1,000, and so I did. I went and designed it, went to a printer, did the whole thing, and did it. And then I had this business card, and I don't remember what it said on it, but it obviously had my name and my phone number. Didn't have an email because we didn't have email yet, and I'd pass them out and talk about this work that I was called to do. And then one day somebody called me. I said, hello? They said, yes, this is David Alexander. I said, yes, it is. I said, well, we're part of the Southern Region Conference of the da-da-da of the state and the blah, 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 and the whole network that I was involved in. And they said, we got your card and we know you've been recently elected. And we'd like you to come down at this particular time and speak to our young people as one of the state representatives and speak on this particular thing. I don't remember the topic. I don't remember any of that. I just remember being shocked because I was there on the other line and I kept looking at the phone like, and they're like, you can do a workshop and a keynote, right? And I was like, yes, I can do that. Yes, that is what I do. That's what I do. Right? The power is already within you, but you got to believe in it in yourself. You don't wait for permission. You step out into it because you are the beloved of God. You are the infinite made flesh. You are the power and the presence. When you speak, you're not just defining yourself. You're declaring the presence of the divine within you every time that you speak. You're not just defining, oh, I'm David Alexander. Da, 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 da. You're declaring the divine. There's a divine presence inside of this mind, this body, this consciousness, and that presence is expressing as your name, your life, your experience. And so self-advocacy becomes essential, not from a place of self-aggrandizement, but from a place of accessing the divine within you, from a place of understanding who and whose you are. When Reverend Barber was praying in the rotunda, he wasn't seeking attention, he was invoking sacred power. When people have been filling city council meetings and town hall meetings to demand justice, when students walk out for climate change or demand transgender rights, they're doing the same. They're invoking a power that calls upon the dignity of all humanity. It's not about one particular person or even one particular topic. That when we speak for our own needs, whether it's in a doctor's office or in a job interview or in a relationship, you're embodying that divine authority. It's not rebellion, it's revelation. You see that? Not rebellion, it's revelation. You're not rebelling against it. You're revealing the God within you. You're revealing the infinite possibility. You're revealing the different way, particularly when I remember one of the first protests I ever went to, they were cutting the music program out of public schools. And so, Penelope, you'll appreciate this. So we get, this was 1990 something. And they were cutting the music programs. And so we grabbed our instruments, and we went down to the school board's building, and we set up a concert right there on the lawn outside of and we just played, and we did it. We were there before the meeting started, and I played viola. So we were there, and we lined up in such a way, the band and the orchestra from the school, from several schools. Of course, it was all voluntary, and our teachers or conductors couldn't be involved because they'd get in trouble, but it was all student organized. We just said, well, let's just go play. Let's just go do what we do. And so as the school board members were going into their meeting, they had to walk past us, and we would just be, just playing music and other people doing their thing, and we were just playing various things, right? It's a revelation of what's possible. When we speak up for ourselves, we honor the divine spark within us. When we speak up for somebody else, we honor the divine spark within them. And here's the thing. Never, ever, ever let someone tell you that one is more spiritual than the other. Right? There are some spiritual traditions that would tell you to not speak up for yourself, that you need to be humble before God, that you need to, it's all about serving other people, but you yourself are just sort of a worm of a dust. Hogwash. You are a divine idea in the mind of God. You are created in infinite beauty. You deserve every good thing that God is to flow through and as you, as peace and prosperity, as beautiful relationships, as divine right action in your career and your unfoldment of yourself and health and wellness in every beautiful way that you can possibly imagine and beyond that. And when you speak up for somebody else, when you speak up for others, there's some traditions that would say, no, just focus on yourself. Just mind your own business. Just stay in your lane. Equal hogwash. Equal parts hogwash, both sides. I want you to hear that, right? Because you don't have your own lane, because your lane is connected to everybody else's lane, right? I don't know if you drive in this city, but I do. And, when I try to stay in my lane, I tend to notice that other people seem to like my lane, or people that are behind me want to be where I am, or whatever. Or my desire and plan to just set it on a particular speed and just go a particular way is interfered by the fact that some other people got a little too close to each other 30 minutes before me. And now my whole day is messed up, right? Because 6 lanes are shut down, right? And so as much as we can aggrandize about the idea that we could stay in our own lane and mind our own business, you're connected to everything and everyone around you. And so to speak up for ourselves is to honor the divine spark within us. To speak up for someone else is to honor theirs Never mistake one for the other, that one is more spiritual than the other. Self-efficacy comes and is spiritual when it comes from the knowing that we are not separate from the infinite, but that we are its unique divine expressions. And so we learn to align with the infinite. We learn to align with the universal law. In our teachings, we know that a clear intention with a thought and an elevated emotion brings about manifestation. That's what spiritual mind treatment is. That's what our practitioners are steeped in the art and the practice of. It's what we call spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, that a clear intention with an elevated emotion brings about a manifestation. That is the way that thoughts become things. And so when we're advocating for ourselves from a centered and intentional place, we're doing spiritual work. We're aligning with the consciousness of the creative principle. We're not forcing the universe to act. We're allowing it to flow through us. We're saying, this is what I see as possible in the world. This is what I see as the expression of dignity for myself, or for my neighbor, or for humanity, or for those that I love, or for community, or for the earth, or for the sentient beings here or there. It doesn't really matter. This is why our affirmations matter. This is why our prayers matter. This is why speaking the truth in the midst of chaos matters. This is why speaking calmly and clearly and confidently is a spiritual practice. This is why Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." But first, you have to know what that truth is. And that truth is that you are inseparable from the divine. That truth is that you are one with the creative force. That truth is that force is moving in through and as you. You have to know that truth is not just theory, but that it is a truth that seeks to live itself out, a true embodiment of who and what you are. When you do that, then you're able to walk into the world with such clarity and integrity that there's a vibration and a frequency. There's a story and I shared this on Friday night at the memorial service of my beloved friend, Bishop Troy Sanders, who so embodied this idea. He was such a joyful presence and such an integrous presence, and his life was filled with transformation of his own journey, and he was so committed to his own health and well-being and gave himself so freely of service to other people and to his community that it was something remarkable to behold. And he was unapologetically steeped in self-care. He would pour himself out in service to his own community, to his friends and people who had him as a mentor and colleagues, the organizations he belonged to. He was a teacher and a professor. He poured himself out, and I would see him at conferences just, in service to others, just pouring himself out in such incredible ways. And then the minute the conference was over, you'd see him on Facebook, you'd see him on a plane, and he's going to, Costa Rica, and, and he'd show you he'd give you a phone, and he'd walk you through, like, here are the candles, and here are the this, and here's the that, and there's the bed, and there's the fine linen, and there's a fresh fruit that they're bringing me, and the next 7 days, I'm eating nothing but fruit juice and this and that, and like, he was unapologetic self-care and joy. Because he knew that the capacity to do one came from the capacity to do the other, right? From the capacity of self-care, he could give himself because his tank wasn't empty, because he knew who he was, because he knew how to self-advocate. And from that place, he could be in service to others. There's a story in Scripture that talks about Jesus going to the healing waters, the pools of Bethesda, and meeting a gentleman there who's sitting and seeking in his infirmed state, whatever it might be, seeking to get to the waters to be healed, as everybody else is gathered for the same reason. And every time the waters move, the crowds move, and they come in, and those that are there first to get into the healing waters have whatever experience perhaps that they're looking for, but he's unable to move because of whatever his condition is, or he's trapped in his condition. As the quote from Holmes says, the world is reflecting back to him the mirror of his own thinking. So Jesus approaches him and he says, "How long have you been sitting here?" The man says, 38 years. And we know biblically in the Bible, in biblical stories, that 40 is a symbol that means long enough, right? Or it means a really long time. It doesn't necessarily mean 40 days and 40 nights. It just means it'd been a while, right? And so 38 is close to that. It's like close to long enough. But if you're into numerology, it's also a 3 and an 8 is an 11, and an 11 is a doorway. It's a passage. It's an entry point. And so it's significant that it's not 39 or 37, it's 38. It's close to long enough, but there's an opportunity there. There's a door that's opening up there. And Jesus catches that. And he says, do you want to be healed? Do you want to be whole? Yes. So take up your bed and walk. And there's something about this passage from a metaphysical perspective that I want you to get, which is that it's not about Jesus as the healer outside of us, because we are the Christ and the Christ is us. We are every character in the Bible. It's all inside of us because it all came out of us. It didn't come from God, it came from man. It's man's consciousness writing about various things. Star Wars came out of George Lucas, right? And now we talk about it like it's this real thing. It's just a projection of somebody's consciousness, right? And so this projection in these stories, that we are all of the characters, they're all inside of us. And when we meet the Christ presence, or we meet the divine, or we meet the I am, or however you want to frame it, that Jesus represents that healing presence that knows unapologetically who he is and whose he is. And we meet that presence as this gentleman is doing. And we take that doorway, that 38 number, there's an opportunity to walk through that doorway. Jesus says, get your stuff and go to the water. Take up your bed and walk. And what I love and find fascinating about that passage is he doesn't say, abandon your stuff. He says, get your stuff. Is that your stuff? Is this the bottle? Is this yours? Is it the blanket? Is this whatever it is, right? Which represents his conditions, his story, his thinking, all of his stuff, whatever conditions or circumstances he came from. He says, get your stuff and take it with you. Don't abandon it. Take it with you. What does that mean? That means that when you meet the healing presence inside of you, when you meet the I am, when you meet the divinity within you, you don't have to transcend the place that you came from. You get to take it with you because you walk in a new light. You walk in a healed presence. You get to walk in, you get to say, I am who I am. I love who I love. I show up the way that I show up. These are my circumstances and conditions. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed of them. I'm not trying to hide them or misrepresent them. These are the things. But they do not define me. They do not restrict me. They do not confine me. They do not hold me back. But they are what they are. And I take them with me into a new light, into a new dawn, into a new awareness, into a new way of being, because I understand who I am. Suddenly I'm not limited by the past. Suddenly I'm not limited by the conditions. Suddenly I'm not limited by the labels. Because I can self-advocate and say, I am that I am. I am the divine presence. I am the one. I am the God presence in, through, and as me. And it includes all of those things. All of those things are gifts that I bring to the world. And the beauty of that teaching is that when you're able to do that, the litmus test for that is that then you're able to meet other people in their conditions. You're not afraid of somebody who votes differently than you. You're not afraid of somebody who loves differently than you. You're not afraid of somebody who presents differently than you. You're not afraid of somebody who has a different background, a different history, a different race, religion, creed, way of being, expressing. You're not afraid of somebody who puts sugar on their grits. You're not afraid. Okay? I know. Too far. I went too far. I don't do it, but I know some people. I pray for them. But you're not afraid. Right? Because you know that you came from a set of circumstances and condition, and so does everybody else. And you walk with that integrity. Joy is the sound that integrity makes. When you know who you are, then joy comes out all over the place, because joy is the sound that integrity makes. Let me leave you with this. As we're just starting this month on self-advocacy, finding and using our voice. Sometimes self-advocacy is as simple as saying one word. It might be no, it might be enough, or it might be yes, it might be I'm ready, or it might be I need help. What word do you need to stand up for and speak up for yourself, to find your voice, to speak your truth, maybe in a relationship where you've stayed silent, maybe in a system that benefits from your compliance? Maybe it's time to pray out loud rather than just in your heart. Maybe it's time to let your voice rise, not just for you, but for everyone who still thinks that they can't speak. Choose one thing this week as an act of self-advocacy. It could be a phone call. It could be setting a boundary. It could be a truth-telling moment. It could be letting your voice be an echo of the divine and amplifying the calls for justice that are currently happening in the world. Because the world right now doesn't just need more noise. It needs more truth, more courage, more you, more me, more individuals who know who and what they are. Let's pray together. As I invite practitioners who are here and available to come forward and to be available to you for prayer. We have practitioners online as well that are making themselves available in the broadcast. If you're watching online, you can reach out to them at any time. And you can find all of our practitioners listed on our website. These beloveds have been steeped in the art of affirmative prayer for many years, of taking classes, taking tests, examining their own beliefs and consciousness until they are curated in the knowing and in the art of knowing for others divine truth in any circumstance. Avail yourself to that if that appeals to you today. As they join me in consciousness and knowing that there is one power, one presence, and one life. The power, the presence, and the life of God, of all that is, whether we call it God or love or divine intelligence, or supreme being, or the force. It is the one thing that is the only thing that is occurring in the universe right now. I am one with that divine intelligence. I'm one with that infinite source. I am one with that supreme, infinite being and vibration and frequency of love. It is me. I am it. In that oneness, there's an open doorway, a channel through which all that it is able to express as me. Through my thoughts and my imagination and through my heart's desires and through my actions and through my voice and my advocacy, that I am able to speak up and declare the word of that which I wish to experience this day, this week, this month, this year, this life, this relationship, this moment. Allow your voice to be strong and anchored in the presence of the divine. Let it be a vibration and a frequency of that which sent you to experience more joy, to experience more love, to experience more wholeness, to experience more peace, and to demand more justice in the world. Oh, there is nothing more powerful than a moment whose time has come. Declare in this moment that your time has come. Time to speak up and speak out for the life that you desire, the life that you know that lives inside of you. And once you have that down, use that same voice to speak up for others. Use that same voice to advocate for others. Use that same voice to make room for others. And together, we will find a new heaven and a new earth. Humanity will rise out of its infirmity. It will rise out of its oppression. It will rise out of its mistreatment of each other. It will rise out of all of the chaos and the confusion and the polarization of the things that we see. Because a clarion call will have come from your voice and from mine that calls us back home to the place that we belong, in the bosom of the divine, one with this dynamic love. Feel that, sense that, accept it now as you take it into your being with a breath, and we release it with an exhale and an affirmation. And so it is. So we are. Peace and blessings.
Oh, Reverend David's done it again. Let's stand together and sing our closing song, family. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We see a world that works for everyone. Yes, we do. We see a world that works for everyone. 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 So it is.